Welcome back, everyone. In the moments leading up to Jordan Davis's death, the 17-year-old was doing what many teen boys do, hanging out with friends and trying to pick up girls. Seconds later, he was fatally shot, allegedly during a dispute over loud music. Well, today is day 3 of testimony in the murder trial of the man who shot him. Michael Dunn admits shooting Davis, but says it was in self-defense. CNN's Tori Dunn is live outside the courthouse in Jacksonville, Florida for us. So, Tori, Dunn's fiance took the stand today. What did she have to say?
Well, Don, I mean, she was just extremely emotional inside the courtroom when she took the stand. Actually, when she took the oath, her hand was trembling. She was so nervous when she was up there. She was really crying a lot, and she described the night that this all happened as lasting forever. But she talked about when they first arrived at the gas station and they saw that red Durango, and she said the music was loud. She did notice that, but then she had a conversation with Michael Dunn, her fiance, before she went inside to grab some chips and a bottle of wine, and here's how she said everything unfolded.
When the defendant pulled into that parking space, could you hear any music coming from the red SUV?
Yes.
And you could tell it was coming from that car?
Yes.
From where you were sitting inside of the car, could you hear any of the lyrics of the music?
No, I couldn't make out the lyrics.
Could you tell, though, what kind of music it was?
Yes, I could.
And could you hear the bass?
Yes.
Now, from inside the car, was anything in the car rattling from the bass?
No.
Did the defendant say anything about the music when he parked the car next to the red car?
Yes.
And what did the defendant say?
Oh, I hate that thug music.
And what was your response to the defendant?
I said, yes, I know.
As you were walking to the register, did you hear anything unusual?
Yes.
What did you hear?
I heard pop, pop, pop.
And when you heard those noises, did you know what they were?
No, I didn't.
Did you know where they were coming from?
No, I didn't.
So, Don, she actually testified that at first she had no idea that it was her fiance, Michael Dunn, who had been the one who allegedly fired off those shots.
Tori, I understand the detectives and evidence techs testified as well. What were some of the key points that they raised?
All right, so one of the key parts about this case is the fact that these 3 teens have all testified, the 3 teens who were in the car besides Jordan Davis, that they never had a weapon. Michael Dunn, though, has said that he saw a weapon or something pointing out the window. He felt threatened, and that's when he grabbed his gun. So a tech today said he never saw a weapon either when he checked out the car. But here's what the defense attorney had to say about that argument.
So if a weapon was in that car and it was gotten rid of, you could search it all day long and never find one, correct?
True.
If somebody takes a weapon and throws it into a bush and you don't look in that bush, you're never going to find it, are you?
True.
If somebody goes into a parking lot and throws a gun or a weapon under a car and you don't search that area, you're never going to find it, are you?
Well, weapons like that do show up and people do find them.
But you
if
wouldn't.
I wasn't, no, I wouldn't find it.
Right, because you weren't told to look there.
Correct.
All right, so Don, important to point out that police say they never found a weapon as well, but there were certain parts where that red SUV, certain areas where the red SUV may have gone to a nearby plaza, where police testified today that they actually never checked out that plaza right after the shooting took place.
Tori Dunn in Jacksonville. Tori, thank you very much. Much more on this trial right after this quick break. If you're just joining us, we're talking about the case of a Florida teenager shot and killed after an alleged dispute over loud music in a gas station parking lot. In day 3 of the trial, the jury heard from crime scene technicians and a very emotional witness, a defendant's fiance. I want to bring in now criminal defense attorney Holly Hughes and psychologist Jeff Gardier. Holly's in Atlanta. Jeff is here with me in New York. Holly, you know, this trial is moving very quickly. So first, set this up. What does each side need to prove here?
What the prosecution needs to prove is that this was not self-defense, which is what the defense attorney wants this jury to believe. The prosecution is making great strides toward that, Don, because everybody that testifies that was there at that gas station over the past couple of days has said, we did not see a weapon of any kind. We did not see a gun of any kind in the SUV, in the hands of any of the 4 young men in the SUV. And furthermore, they are also saying that Michael Dunn just opened fire. There was no provocation. You don't get to shoot somebody because you don't like their music,
The music.
Don.
We were
What
just
this is
talking about it. We were just
Yeah.
talking. Jeff and I were talking about it. I hear people with loud music all the time in a car. I hear it on the subway. I hear it
Right.
walking down the street. But I don't dare say to someone, "Hey, your music is too loud." You just ignore them and shake your head, or you just keep going.
Right.
It's ridiculous that there's actually a defense for this.
And Don, there was actually testimony from several witnesses at that gas station. There were other empty parking spots. So if he was so offended by this music, instead of whipping out your pistol and shooting at a bunch of unarmed kids, move your car.
Yeah,
It's that simple.
and it's Florida. There are gas
Right.
stations on every corner. Stand by. More testimony from the defendant's fiance.
When you woke up, was the television on?
Yes, it was.
And did you happen to see something on the news?
Yes, I did.
At that point in time, did you learn that a teenager had been killed at the Gate gas station?
Yes, I did.
Did you then tell the defendant that you wanted to go home?
Yes, I did.
And why did you decide that you all needed to go home?
Because I thought I was going to be arrested too. I wanted to get Charlie taken care of.
All right, Jeff, to you in a moment, but let me finish up with Holly here. How is this testimony going to affect the trial, Holly?
This is incredibly impactful because bear in mind, she is the fiance of Michael Dunn, but she was called by the prosecution. And she has been brutally honest. She has admitted to things that Michael Dunn wrote in letters to her, saying, about black thugs, where he is being derogatory. And she had to admit all of that on the stand. This is incredibly powerful because his own fiance is telling this jury what his mindset was, Don, and what he thought, what he prejudged about those young men who did nothing more than play their music at a volume he didn't like.
That wasn't appropriate for him. But the interesting thing is we have dissected this word thug so much. Don't think that soundbite didn't go by unnoticed for me when he said, "I am sick of hearing that thug music." Mm-hmm. What does that mean? What is that coded for? Very emotional testimony here, Jeff. How does this impact her or impact the trial to hear from that juror?
Well, already the jurors reportedly, when they saw how the Durango had been shot up, all of those bullet holes, knowing that it went into the legs of Jordan Davis, people gasped. They were like, oh, my God. And I think what's going on here, a lot of people are saying, this didn't have to happen. We saw it with Rhonda Rauer. One of the other reasons she's being called by the prosecution is because she's freaked out by the whole thing. Why did this happen? It didn't have to happen. You didn't like the music. It was so loud. Then you park in another spot. And if you're so afraid that you felt that it was a stand your ground, that you had to pull out your gun, why even open your mouth in the first place to four young people
afraid,
in
right.
a
if you
car?
Were worried for your
right.
life. See, it's very emotional. She's reliving it, but can you imagine what the family of the kids are dealing with?
That's again with what we saw with Trayvon Martin. By the way, some cases have already been settled with some of the other young men because they were so traumatized by this, and actually Michael Dunn's legal people have settled with those young folks. So I think that speaks volumes in itself.
All right, don't go far, guys, because you're going to come back in the next hour and talk a little bit more about this. In the meantime, we're going to move on and talk about a surprise winner of the Winter Olympics. First gold medal, a 20-year-old.